Campaign 2018 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, Marshfield Clinic Health System, and Campaign 2018 partner Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel.
WisconsinEye coverage of the 2018 elections continues at the Milwaukee Public Library. Travis Spell of Milwaukee is a Democratic candidate in 18th Assembly District. Travis, welcome to WisconsinEye.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're a name in Milwaukee Democratic politics, so give us the short version of your bio.
Short version is simple. My name is Travis Spell. I was born in the 18th Assembly. Grew up on 39th and Clark. And I actually, when I got married, me and my wife bought property in the same assembly. We own a mental health complex on 40th and Capitol. We're the one-stop shop for the Milwaukee Police Department 7th District, and we've been buying back the properties to buy back our community.
Okay. And you, on your campaign website, you highlight a tragic carjacking incident.
Yes.
In your district.
Correct.
And you say this must not happen. Why did you highlight that incident, and how do you think incidents like that can be stopped, sir?
It's unfortunate. It was a young man that was sitting outside waiting on his son at a park at Washington Park, and three assailants came to carjack his car.
Yes.
One crawled through the passenger side, actually knocked the man unconscious while the other two beat on him. And while they backed away from him, they almost ran the man over. How can we stop that? It's hard, but we have to have more police presence. However, we don't want the police to dominate the area. We actually want the police presence to be more in tune with the neighborhood, so situations like that won't exist.
When you talk to constituents asking for their votes,
correct,
do they tell you that crime is the #1 issue, or is there something else that looms in their mind?
Two things are, well, it's tied with living, being able to live affordably with income. Income is creating the dynamics between poverty and crime. It's almost like they go hand in hand. So as of right now, with income amongst the African American males in Milwaukee is high with unemployment rate, there's a lot of crime going on. And if we can help create livable, affordable income coming into the neighborhoods, I believe we can see some of that go down as well.
One of the issues there is schools.
Correct.
The 4-year graduation rate at MPS is 60%.
Correct.
How can that be improved?
I think we got to actually reintroduce trades at the middle school level. If we can reintroduce trades at the middle school level, at least our kids will have a great foundation going into high school. I believe once you have a great trade, maybe you'll be in that trade for about 5 to 6 years, but after that you'll want to advance into becoming a business owner, and we should be able to take that, adopt that at the high school level. So at the middle school level, let's bring the trades into view, and then at high school, let's start talking about business ownership, entrepreneurship. So when they come out, they can understand about cash flow and ways that they can strive in their community.
Choice program, the voucher program, has been around in Milwaukee for 25 plus years.
Correct.
Do you support the choice program?
Well, I believe in Milwaukee Public Schools and the choice program. I actually am a product of MP in Milwaukee Public Schools. However, my kids go to choice schools. I love it. It gives me as a parent an option to say, okay, what's better fits for my child? The reason why I say that is because when my oldest son was actually in Milwaukee Public Schools, his reading was low. It was low. And once he went to Milwaukee College Prep, within 2 years, his reading score shot up. And I mean, he's reading at an incredible level. And the same thing goes for my youngest son. He's doing so great in school that I love it. I love the way that they give my kids attention. And I love the way that the camaraderie is within the school system.
We talked about crime earlier. In light of school shootings, mass shootings, do we need to change gun laws, sir?
Gun laws do need to be changed. But the problem is that it's the criminals who's getting the guns. I don't want to take the Second Amendment away from nobody. However, it's still the criminals who are getting these guns, and that needs to stop. We need to figure out a way that we can make sure the ones who have the right to have gun ownership have it, and those who are criminals need to be punished for it.
And specific changes?
It's hard to say specific changes because I know sometimes we think of on the terms of the new technology they're talking about bringing out with guns, but in a life and death situation, do you want to rely on technology? I don't know about you, but a lot of times I'm on a computer and it might be just moving for a minute, but technology, if we can make sure that technology actually works, then I'm all for it. But right now, it's a tough situation.
A big issue in the next state budget will be whether we need a new state prison. The prisons in Green Bay and Waupun were built in the 1800s.
Correct.
And we're closing the 2 juvenile prisons. Do you think we need a new state prison for adults?
No, because we're constantly expanding prison, and we should think more on prison reform. Right now, with mental health is at an all-time high. But the problem is a lot of these individuals are actually being harbored and they have addictions, or they should be in other programs and not in the prison system. We pay more in financial money for prisoners than we are for education. Something's not right with that for me. It have to be a change. Yes, we do punish those who need to be punished, but on the severe level, but not those who need to be either reprogrammed or transitioned to a different facility that has nothing to do with our taxpayer dollars.
Tragically, Wisconsin leads the nation in the incarceration of African Americans.
Correct.
How can we not lead the nation? How can we work on that issue, get better?
I think what we have to do is we have to go back to the basics. First off, we got to figure out what is it our community needs. One thing we got to go back to is poverty. Again, it do drive lack of jobs. It do drive crime, but I'm not using that as an excuse. What I'm saying is we got to be more creative and say, okay, this is what we need to do in order to help fund livable, affordable wages for everybody within in Milwaukee, but Wisconsin as a whole, because crime is at an all-time high. But how do we pull back and say, let's just take a deep breath and think about this for a minute. If we can actually increase jobs, increase education, then we can kind of pull back on crime, because if we're not putting all our intention on building more jail cells and saying, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build more jail cells. We're going to increase the housing that we can harbor them. Well, no, why don't we educate them? Even the ones that come out, why can't we educate the ones before they come out so they can come into our society and be more beneficial for the society and not look for them to reoffend and go back into the system?
Do we need to raise the minimum wage, and if so, to what?
We have to raise minimum wage. We have to raise minimum wage to a number. You know, $15 has always been a great start. But can our businesses sustain that way? Because some businesses cannot sustain at operating at $15 an hour. So we have to come up with a solution. How do we balance the two? How can we balance it for the business owners as well as the individuals that need to make affordable living? There's
a deadlock in the Capitol over how we pay for highways.
Correct.
What are your ideas on how we pay for our highway and bridges and maintenance?
Freeways are being built right now almost on credit. And if we don't have the money there right now, it's almost like if you want to teach a child how to live off a third of their income. But we have to do the same thing at our state capitol. We have to stop getting to a point where we're so quick to spend money that we do not have. So they're taking money out of every individual from taxes. So let's figure out a creative way. How can we make that happen? Let's think about the gas tax. That might be a great way to benefit the roadways, but not affecting those who's not driving themselves. So that might be a great compromise.
You'd consider raising the gas tax?
I think that would be beneficial when it comes to the roads.
What about the debate over tolling and whether that should be part of Wisconsin's future?
I don't really think we are as big as like Illinois, Ohio, or Texas that we can actually kind of benefit from that, because a lot of people commute from Waukesha to Milwaukee, but I think that would not give us enough to take us to the next level. I think that would be almost not beneficial for us.
Local governments have had levy limits on what they can levy in property taxes.
Correct.
Since 2006.
Correct.
Some local government leaders say that's hurting their ability to provide local services.
Correct.
Should we loosen levy limits or get rid of them?
We have to loosen them. With them being so restricted, like you said, since 2006. So we've been pretty much having the same amount since 2006. And as we move forward, think about, I don't know how it affected you the other day, but with the flooding on Monday, it flooded my entire business on 40th and Capitol. It flooded a bridge on 35th and Capitol. And if you start thinking about that, the unexpected costs and how it will affect us going into the next cycle, well, does it really help us for always being so restricted? How can we put more money into that? How can we think of more ways to put more money into the levy but at the same token, not be so restricted. So let's figure out. We got Summerfest going on, Polish Fest, Afro Fest. We have all these festivals that we so much of a main attraction for. How can we keep some of that money within Milwaukee? Milwaukee is a big hub for the state of Wisconsin. How can we keep some of that money here for us?
What are 18th Assembly District residents telling you about health care? What are they saying?
Well, they need access to it. Of course, they need access to it. A lot of them saying we should have took the Affordable Health Care Act that we turned down. And I feel like we're losing so much because if you're not physically healthy, that by itself can take somebody away from their job, which increase their poverty, because they can't go to work. So we need to have access to health care for everyone.
Okay. Do you think state government has a role or an obligation to retain and recruit physicians, nurses, and other medical professionals?
I believe so. Again, I own a mental health facility, and the problem that we have sometimes is a high turnover rate. And the reason why, and it's just not our clinic, it's clinics throughout Milwaukee. The reason why is a lot of people get in, they get the hours, or they do everything that they need to do, and then they're gone. The problem that I see right now within our state is that we get a lot of great people who come and do everything they need to do, and then they take their resources and move to another state. But they move into other states because they just feel like they don't have enough opportunity here. One problem that we have is that a lot of times when we have people that's uninsured that's coming in, and you can only do so much pro bono. You have to, so I think we need more resources coming from the state capitol to help not just us, but small businesses across Milwaukee and even Wisconsin to help pour more resources in them, because they are the ones who are taking care of the local neighborhoods. They're not a big box office per se as maybe Children's Hospital or other Aurora. But the thing is that they're in the community. They're doing the grunt work. They're making things happen for their community.
What about healthcare in rural areas? Rural areas, their household income is lower than the state average. Older people, young people leaving, more healthcare provided by Medicare, Medicaid. How do we maintain and even improve healthcare in rural areas, sir?
I believe that it's not just a Milwaukee or inner city thing, it's all across the board. So the same solutions that we have in the inner city is the same that we need in the rural areas.
UW system funding, we're in the 6th year of a tuition freeze.
Correct.
For resident undergrads. Should that freeze continue to the 7th and 8th year?
I believe we should have a tuition freeze. I love the thing that's going on at Wisconsin-Madison right now, is because what they're doing is it's called a Bucky program. And the Bucky program is taking individuals who parents make less than $56,000, and they're actually paying for their tuition for the next 4 years. Let's take that concept and let's roll that over to the rest of the UWM system schools, and let's see how that works. Because anybody who make above that, let's try to figure out the resources and how we can help them out. Because the problem that I see is a lot of times we're coming out of college and you're so far in debt that it should be a great head start for them and not come out kind of financially strapped. So not just for lower class, but those who have a little higher income coming into the household, let's find resources for them as well. Because I believe that will be more sustainable to our community once they come out of college.
The Foxconn tax breaks and tax incentives total more than local and state total more than $4 billion.
Correct.
You think any of the residents of the 18th Assembly District will get Foxconn jobs?
That's a great question. And I honestly, Forbes said that Foxconn deal was the highest in U.S. history from a foreign country.
Yes.
With that being said, if they have a great tax incentive, I would wish that Foxconn will have transportation made from Milwaukee to Kenosha. So that way, we understand that at that moment, you're taking the use of your tax credits and you're saying, okay, we're going to make this affordable for everybody. Because I would love for the constituents of the 18th Assembly to be able to get to Kenosha for Foxconn. Because again, that's great. That's a great income coming in, and it actually help with jobs.
Your position on legalizing recreational marijuana or medical marijuana, sir?
I believe medical marijuana should be the start. Let's see how that goes. I believe taxation to that as well could maybe also help with the roads or the levies and things of that nature. But let's see where we can get with medical, because it's going on across the country right now. And it seems like it's a good model going across the country. Let's see where we get with the medical, and then let's worry about the recreational later.
And finally, you're challenging an incumbent Do you want to highlight differences between you and the incumbent and the August 14th primary?
Well, the reason why I'm actually running is because I've been doing so much in the community. And from the constituents, from doors ins to neighborhood meetings, everybody's loving the fact that I'm hands-on. One thing that I consistently do throughout all my career is always been a servant leader. And with me being a servant leader, that means I'm gonna be at their doors, holding them accountable just like they hold me accountable. And I believe if we work together, we can find the solutions to come up with how can we create jobs? How can we have affordable living within our community? The other thing is, how can we work on crime? I believe if we all stay together, we all play together, we can stay together. And if we constantly putting different resources back into our community, trying to figure out, okay, well, this is what's working. Let's just keep on continuously doing this. Then the jail will come. And with that being said, I believe, I know I will outwork anybody. And that's my greatest attribute.
Travis Spell of Milwaukee is a Democratic candidate in the 18th Assembly District. The primary is August 14th. Travis, thanks for talking to WisconsinEye.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.